Here we go. All right. Thank you everybody for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Jen Higginbotham. I'm the president of Neighborhood Association. If I'm a little unfriendly later and I try to stay away from you, it's because I have a cold. I'm not trying to pass it around to anybody. So there's that, just FYI. I've got another mic here, so I think I might switch the mics for anybody who comes up to talk. We get the slides working. We want to always give a good thank you to Cap Indy Center for letting us use this space. We're very thankful that we have this like amazing space with the audio and the screens and everything and the Wi-Fi. So as always, we want to make sure we thank our hosts. As a reminder, we are recording the meeting. It'll be posted to YouTube later this evening, and for anybody who couldn't make it, so they can watch the video later. And we want to make sure that if we've got like questions and like Q&A at some point for some of the speakers, we'll do a little bit of that, but we probably won't let it go on too long just because we want to make sure we can kind of get through everybody on the agenda. And then if you do have like real big details you want to dig into, like you really want to talk about things a lot more, we have the association board and anybody's welcome to join that. So please let us know if you're interested in that. Today's guest speakers, we have a whole lineup. We have 5 people. We have I believe Roman's here from IMPD. We have Andre Carson's office. We have somebody for Vision from the Prison. We're going to hear about Westminster Neighborhood Services. We're going to hear about Indigo. So we're going to dive right on into that agenda. And then we'll have some neighborhood reports that we'll be following up with. So getting started with our speakers for tonight, I want to invite Roman up. Swap these up.
All right, that sounds great. You see Roman and Stacy up there, we're like one person, so this is perfect that both our names are up there. Is there anyone in the room that doesn't know me, that hasn't ever seen me here before? Okay, I'll explain what I do real quick so you guys can understand. I'm a community resource officer for East District. You'll usually see me in uniform. I had to run my kid around after work for a little bit and come back, so I'm not in uniform anymore. But my job in the neighborhood or on the police department is to solve neighborhood problems. Come hear from neighbors, make connections, and be a liaison in that way. It's more of a direct connection to neighbors and community members than someone that would call 911 and take a call for service. We have a little more time on my team to dig into deeper issues than if you call 911. So if you call 911, something's going on in your neighborhood, and maybe you didn't get the outcome that you were looking for, feel free to reach out to me and my team. Our contact information's over here on the table, and maybe we can help you out with that. Getting into that, I got a couple things I'll talk to you guys about before, I don't want to take up too much time. But one of the issues that your neighborhood's been talking about recently is homeless encampments that are nearby here. Homelessness is a very complex issue, and there's a lot of help out there and outreach teams that we work with to try to help these people and also help the community. With that said, there are some public safety issues that go along with homelessness and things like that. Public safety issues for the community as well as the homeless folks. One of those issues right now is weather and weather concerns. It is getting cold out. We don't want to see people outside. So we are trying to get people help in that way and get them off the streets and in the houses or into shelters and things like that. The winter contingency plans open up next month. So in December, hopefully we can help more of those people. Now, I do want to tell you that every time we encounter homeless people in neighborhoods, we offer them services. We have outreach workers that we are connected with that offer them services. Most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, they don't accept our services. So we can only help people who want to accept our help. With that said, someone from your neighborhood reached out to us about a homeless encampment that was underneath the bridge at Market and Pine. The police had been out many times. There was really no resolve to that. They got in contact with our team and we were able to resolve that issue. It took us a couple weeks, but we were able to resolve that issue underneath the bridge coming off the interstate. Now, that takes me further to underneath the bridge near the railroad tracks. I'm sure everyone has seen that homeless camp, and the fires and things like that. In the past, we tried to tackle that issue. It's not new, but it is growing. Um, One of the issues that we are encountering, some legal issues that we are encountering, is who owns the property. Does CSX own the property? Is that state-owned property because of the interstate? So IMPD at this time, from our perspective, is we're having a little bit of trouble addressing that issue on our end. Outreach workers have been out and talked to the people there as well as us, and they have told us, yeah, they've been out here, but we don't want their help. So for the neighborhood, um, this is one issue that may be a little more difficult for my team to handle. What I would recommend that you do is contact the state police non-emergency number and have them come out to see if they can address it, and get in contact with CSX police so they can work together to address the issue. Um, we worked in conjunction with the state police to help us with underneath the bridge, because we had moved the gentleman from underneath the bridge, and then he went up on the embankment, which is state police property. State police was able to give him a trespass notice, and we were able to move him along. And then we worked with DPW to clean up the stuff that was left behind. So that's how that was resolved. If you guys have any further questions about things like that, feel free to ask. Go ahead, sir. You can call the fire department. If the city ordinance that I would be able to enforce is if they are burning materials that add pollutants into the air. Burning wood, it's not illegal. It's like you're having a fire in your backyard. Now, again, I think there are some other legal issues there, but I can't speak to them because burning railroad ties, well, those railroad ties belong to CSX. I don't know if CSX gave them permission or not. I mean, I do know, but it's not what I know, it's what I can prove, right? So that's the law. And if I can't get in contact with anyone from CSX, then it's harder for me to enforce the law. We've spoken to people from CSX. You see the guys come through on their trucks on CSX property there on the rails. We stopped them. Hey, can you guys help us out here? Do you guys own this property here? Oh, I don't know. Call this guy. We call this guy. Guy doesn't answer the phone. So we're having a little bit of trouble there. Go ahead, man.
Fires on the bridges for like security reasons, like safety.
Safety of the structure and things like that.
Reaction, whatever the office is called.
Yeah.
There was discussion of trying to pass an ordinance that you just couldn't have fires under bridges, period.
So yeah, that would help.
And that would be, if that exists,
it would help. The problem with ordinances only is that it's a ticket. We need legislature to make arrest. And again, not necessarily arresting the people, but threat of arrest. Losing your freedom's a big deal. So people are like, all right, I'll move along. That's why I'm talking about the property aspect of it, because if we could get in contact with the property owner and they said, we don't want anybody there, then we could use trespass laws to help us enforce and be like, if you don't leave, you may be arrested. Typically they're like, well, I don't want to go to jail, so, I'll move along. But I will say this to say, well, I won't say that. Go ahead, sir. Yeah, so if you were to go on the assessor's website, you can see where property lines are, who owns what. So again, it's kind of like I know who I think it belongs to, but I need them to say, okay, yes, it is our property.
So you do have a district in your other district that other people do the same thing you're doing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we getting together with them and making a map of where all these homes are and be proactive on if the National Guard comes in and we can say, hey, here's where we want you to go.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are various, I'm being recorded, right? There's various units on the police department, and we all manage things differently because each district has unique problems. Um, well, so well, let me finish. So with that said, our homeless unit is a unit that handles those problems specifically. We help, and if I'm going too long, let me know. We work in conjunction with them, but a little bit independent because our commanders has is responsible for the district. The homeless unit is responsible for every single homeless issue in the entire city. Well, there's only 6 officers in that unit. That's a lot of ground to cover for 6 officers, whereas there's 4 officers in our unit to handle East District alone. So homelessness is one issue that we deal with. Now, we do try to maintain some sort of knowledge of where the camps are. I will tell you this, the chief of police was at our latest task force meeting, and someone asked about the National Guard. He said if that time were to come, then they would work through what they needed to work through. But at this time, he didn't believe that we needed the assistance of the National Guard for city policing. And that's the safest way I can say it as a patrol officer. Any other questions in regards to that? Okay. You want me to finish? I can wrap it if you want.
If you got any other.
Just a couple more. IMPD has a strategic plan that we released that was a study, and it's just kind of basically the police department getting its own identity. The police department was formed in 2007, merging 2 police departments. When you merge places, you have different cultures that clash. Here we are, years and years, almost 20 years later, and we are now trying to find our identity. There was a lot of input from the public on how to get that plan put in place. A draft has been put out, and we're seeking final input from the public. So just Google IMPD strategic plan, and you can find that information and click on there and put your input. You have about a week and a half left to do that because it will start in January. And as far as crime statistics in your neighborhood, violent crime is down 24% year to date. So double digit numbers is a good thing. And we're down about 5% for property crime. Those numbers go up and down. I could give you the 28-day numbers in different categories, but the year to date number is the big one because that tells you the true story. Things can change from day to day. With that said, IMPD just today announced that there is a portal for you guys as citizens to look up things on your own now, a new portal. And it is the IMPD transparency website. It's just impdtransparency.indy.gov. So IMPD transparency.indy.gov. Yes, it's a brand new website. It just opened today. It's got a lot of information on there, but the reason being that we put that out is to open up more transparency to the community. There's I can get into it, but if you just look at it, you'll be able to see what you need to see on there. I don't want to keep going too deep. Neighborhood complaints, send them to us. We take pride in trying to solve people's problems. Some problems take longer than others, but usually we're able to get resolution. Some of your neighbors can speak to those things. Do you guys have any questions for me before I get off my podium, my pedestal? Go ahead, sir. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're right. Thanks.
Right, I don't have any pages. Hold on. There we go. Next speaker
30-second my thought.
Oh, the speakers are like right here. Andrew, sorry, come on up for Andre Carson's office.
Look, how about I don't use these things?
I know.
I can project.
I'll just leave it over there. There you go.
Okay.
And the slides
Is
are
it back
good.
on again?
Yeah.
Oh,
Should be.
testing. All right. Awesome. And were my slides able to? Awesome. All right. My name's Andrew Bachnica. I'm here for Congressman Carson. I just wanted to share some brief updates for you all this evening, and starting off on some good news. Because, of course, it's been a difficult couple of months on Capitol Hill. But I did want to share, as of yesterday, Congressman Carson was promoted to be the ranking member on the House Aviation Subcommittee. That is fancy speak for he is now the top Democrat on aviation in America, which is something that he has been working very quietly in the background on for many years. And we're very happy to finally have this come through, in terms of pushing for this for many years. So what this does essentially is he gives the congressman a lot of authority when it comes to anything civilian air related, when it comes to safety, infrastructure, a lot of labor disputes. He's a big champion of airline staff, anything going on with our skies in foreign countries. And then most importantly, oversight over the FAA in their operations. It's something that's very personal to the congressman, not just because we have the best airport in North America, but if you remember earlier this year, that crash that took place over the Potomac, there was a Hoosier who passed away in that. Turns out it was a friend of a friend for the congressman. So, it's just all too common and something that he's incredibly concerned about. Another thing the congressman has done on this area is he's actually passed a law to create a secondary barrier to cockpits. Right now, essentially, if someone wants to leave the cockpit, they've got to get creative with moving like the little tray up the aisle so that no one can make a run at the cockpit when the pilots open the doors. So he's going to work to enforce that legislation that he passed, that the airline manufacturers actually put in that safety protection, as well as a host of other things that he has lined up. And then it's not on the slide. I didn't know if anyone in the room, raise your hand if you heard about the new Alien documentary that came out. It's called Age of Discovery. Saw on a couple of the streaming channels, also on the theaters. Congressman Carson's in it. If you remember, a couple of years ago, he held the first hearing on unidentified aerial phenomenon in over 50 years on Capitol Hill. And it's something that's very passionate about, not only just because it's a cool subject, but also because there are a lot of weird things in our skies that pose danger to our aircraft, both civilian and military. So it's something that he really wants to bring this role as well, as an increased reporting system for stuff we don't understand that we're seeing up in the air. What's that? So he likes to joke. He's like, well, are they extraterrestrial or interdimensional? And I'm like, that's above my head, sir. You know?
Or the lizards.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not going to say which one I'm supporting.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of funny because everybody you see in the movie is always like, well, what's the real truth? And always like, it's classified. And my boss doesn't take that answer, so it's kind of neat. And he did start off on a strong footing here when it comes to what he's immediately going to pursue in this role. About 13 days before the shutdown, he had introduced a bill called the Aviation Funding Stability Act. Essentially, what that would have done would be paying air traffic controllers during the shutdown. Unfortunately, despite it being nearly 2 weeks before the shutdown, they didn't rush it to a hearing, and we really paid for that in our air travel. So as soon as this happened, basically, they announced not just Congressman Carson, his role as ranking member, the chairman of the Aviation Committee on the Republican side, and the ranking member of the wider Transportation Committee, the Republican chairman, and then the Democratic ranking member all have come out in favor of this bill. Essentially, they've reintroduced it under a different title, but those are a lot of heavy hitters. So we're hoping that this is going to be enough to essentially ensure this in the future, that there's never going to be a disruption to air travel again when there's a shutdown. And just for the sake of it, the mechanism is kind of neat. There's about $2.6 billion this is real government stuff, just sitting in a bank account for no real reason. Essentially, if we ever had to draft aircraft for war, they had to pay these insurance premiums, which we cut off that program in 2014 but we kept the money and the money's been accruing interest. So we just have kind of $2.6 billion in unallocated aircraft money. So that would be the mechanism essentially to make sure that our staff is paid moving forward. So we're very hopeful that this will become law. Outside of that, my only other real update was you probably heard quite a lot of news since August about redistricting. There was Organization Day this week in which both chambers gavelled out and said that they would come back in January. What we do know is that the governor is trying to, quote unquote, compel the legislature to come back. And we know that the House has been told to expect to come back in the first 2 weeks of December. So not trying to tell you which way you should really be swayed on it, but it is something where there's a tremendous amount of pressure from outside of the state. So if you're interested in having your say in this, we really do encourage you to call your state legislators, both at the House and the Senate. But outside of that, happy to take any questions. Right, we'll see you none. Thank you very much.
You're right, Trini, I didn't need 2 mics. Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna get
You're
gonna get a little thing by touching it.
I know. Okay, so next up we have Melissa Benton, Vision for the Prison. She's going to give us an update on what's happening.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Melissa Benton. In my day job, sorry about that. In my day job, I'm the Community Development Officer at John Bonner Neighborhood Centers. And so I also serve on a steering committee for the redevelopment of the old Indiana Women's Prison. So just do a little bit of a quick history lesson for those that don't know. As prior to the mid 1800s, men and women were incarcerated together in institutions, and that's typically led to a lot of abuse of women by both the men they were incarcerated with as well as the prison guards. And so in 1869, the Indiana General Assembly authorized the creation of a separate institution for women. It was the first prison in the United States that was built specifically for women. It opened in 1873, which is the same year that Woodruff Place was platted by James O. Woodruff. There's a lot of Woodruff Place people that will say they were there first, and that's just not true. The prison was actually there first and opened first, although it was pretty close in timing. When it first opened in 1873, it served both women and girls. It started with 17 women that were transferred from the men's prison in Jeffersonville. Later on, girls that were under a certain age, under the age of 15, were transferred to a different space. And so this really just became the Indiana Women's Prison. Stayed that way, the Indiana Women's Prison, up until 2009. At that point in time, women were the fastest growing prison population in Indiana. And that space was at this time landlocked. And so there was no room to expand. At its capacity, it held about 350 women. So they made the decision to move the women to the prison that's on the west side. And there's a prison, a women's prison in Rockville, Indiana, which is very close to Terre Haute. So those are where women are held now. When they moved the women out, it became the men's reentry facility. So Indiana Reentry and Education Facility, or IREF for short. So men that were there were within 2 years of being released. And so because they were close to the release date, they felt like the urban setting was good for them. You started to see a lot of the men that were coming out doing community service in the neighborhood. So they would set up and clean up for Feast of Lanterns. They would do a lot of cleanups with the neighborhood associations and try to really positively contribute to the community. It stayed the IREF facility until 2017 when the state decided to close it. At that point in time, they had some dwindling numbers. The prison population was declining. Prisons are very expensive to operate. And so that one, with it being landlocked and no room to expand that one felt like a good one for the state to close. So I think initially people in the neighborhood were really excited about it closing and the opportunities that it would have. But then the state decided to do nothing with it, but let it fall into disrepair. And so there's a process that the state has to go through to dispose of property. There was very quickly a neighborhood task force that was formed with a lot of residents from both Willard Park, which is where the prison sits, and Woodruff Place neighbors who really were concerned about it. And we tried to get traction with the state for a really long time for them to talk to us about their redevelopment plans. At that point in time, they weren't sure what was going to happen with the prison population. There were some changes in state law with the way that people were incarcerated, their sentence terms, that kind of thing. So they wanted to hold on to it to see if they would need to reopen it. it's much cheaper to reopen a closed prison than to build or expand another one. So they wanted to hold on to it and not do anything with it to see if they would need it. When they finally made the determination that they didn't need it, then they started to look for alternative uses. One that you may have heard about in the news was the new site of the state archives. The state of Indiana, under the Department of Administration, had planned to put the state archives there. That decision was made without any neighborhood input. And, you know, we pushed back against that a little bit when we found out about it and said, like, we think there's a better use of the space than just the prison, than just the state archives. They ended up moving the state archives to, it's not in our neighborhood, so I don't know. It's like down on the canal somewhere. If it's not here, I don't really pay attention. So I don't know where it is. It's not here. And so then the state was said, like, well, that was our idea and you don't want that, so we're not going to do anything. They left the property pretty unattended. And so there were holes in the fence. There were people that were constantly breaking in. There was a lot of graffiti that was put on the buildings. There was a lot of damage that was done to the buildings. In one of those situations where it's like maybe the lesser of two evils, we thought the city would be a better caretaker of the property than the state. So we really lobbied hard. Jesse Brown, our city county councilor, really worked on it a lot. And Andrea Hunley, our state senator, to get the state and the city to do a land swap, which they ended up doing at the very end of 2024. So the site is currently owned by the city of Indianapolis. Maybe still not great, but definitely better than the state. And the city is definitely moving at a quicker rate for redevelopment than what the state was. So since the city has taken ownership at the end of 2024, so basically just this calendar year that we're in, they've had a second environmental study done to determine where the effects are. At one point in time, there was a building that was on the site that functioned as a dry cleaner and laundry. And so in the area where that building was, there are some soil contaminants that will restrict a little bit about what can happen as far as redevelopment goes in that area. But overall, the site is pretty clean and open for redevelopment. The city doesn't have any concrete ideas about what they want to see there. And so in October, we collaborated with the city to hold an event at the site that was called Vision for the Prison. And so at that event, people were able to come in. All of the buildings are still secured. You could not walk through any of the buildings, but you could come on the grounds and walk around the campus. It's a total of 15 acres, so there's a lot of opportunity for redevelopment at that site. And during that, the city also had boards where you could put what you thought your top 3 things would be for reuse. So looking at a different number and types of housing units, everything from single family homes to townhomes to rental, affordable housing market rate. Looking at some of the amenities that are there, there's a lot in the existing buildings. There's a lot of limestone that could be taken out of those buildings and reused for some kind of sculpture. There is a creek that runs through the site with a pond that's on the back of the site in a labyrinth that the women built when they were there. That's kind of a cool architectural feature. So which of those would people want to see? Looking at some potential for business and economic development. So you think about particularly where the prison borders Michigan and New York Street, that you could have some retail in the bottom with perhaps some apartments above that. So what kind of retail businesses would people want to see? And then also looking at the way that it currently is, there's a pretty large interior green space. And so should that green space be kept like that? Or should that be repurposed? And so when you think about repurpose, that means would the city put in the street grid again to make it a true neighborhood site? So you would have streets running through it. It would connect to the other existing streets on either side. Or should they leave it as a big green space and look at something like an outdoor concert amphitheater or a soccer field or something like that? So the goal of the Vision for the Prison event was for neighbors to be able to come in, see the site, and then give their input. The city held that survey open until earlier this week. It just closed earlier this week. And so we have not gotten the results yet from the survey. People that were not able to attend our event in October were able to go online and take the survey. So we're waiting on the city to give us sort of the aggregated data from that about what were the top things that people wanted to see. In the meantime, next steps are that yesterday, the Metropolitan Development Commission authorized $25,000 to do roof repairs. There are some places in the building where the roof has started to cave in, and so they want to get that fixed so it doesn't do further damage. When the state owned the property, the buildings were not secured, and so vandals had gone in and stripped anything that looked like it might be worth something and things that probably weren't worth anything at all. And so a lot of that damage that they did open the building up and it allowed water to come in when it would rain or snow. So the city's done a really good job of securing the property, but there are some areas of the roof that need to be repaired, so that will be done. The existing buildings that are left on the site are considered historic, and so they cannot be demolished without going through the process with DNR, which is Department of Natural Resources at the state. And so in order to demolish any of the buildings that are on the site, either the city or a developer would have to get permission for that. So that is sort of one point of leverage that the neighborhood holds, because we would have the opportunity to sort of show up and remonstrate against that decision if somebody has to do that. So, and I don't necessarily know that it's even about keeping those buildings, but if a developer wants to do something that the neighborhoods don't support, that is one way we could argue against it. In December, the city has invited what they're calling a developer roundtable. So there's been different developers across the city that have been invited. That have been invited to come to a meeting with the city and talk about their experience with doing developments like this. So there's historic buildings that you would have to follow historic covenants. There's contamination in the area that you would have to work around for a development. It's a huge area with 15 acres. So what would be some ideas for what developers want to do? The city has decided that they're going to do this project as a master developer. And so what that means is the city will have this developer roundtable and say, give us all of your ideas for what you think should happen at this site. And then the city will take those ideas they like the best and they'll be like, oh, this is our idea. Who wants to do it now? And then they will find a developer that will do that idea. We hope that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for neighborhood engagement in that process to help define what happens there, what kind of housing it is, what kind of businesses it is, what it looks like. So make sure it fits in with the neighborhood and all of that kind of thing. There is a city task force that the city has invited some neighbors to be a part of. We've only had one meeting with that, but the plan is that we would start meeting quarterly at the beginning of 2026 to get more information from the city around the process. The city has not provided a really solid timeline for what they're looking at, but I think it is really encouraging that they are scheduling these meetings and moving ahead with the developer roundtable. It seems that they're wanting to move pretty quickly. They've said that they don't want the property to just sit there. They want to get a redevelopment to happen. As with anything, it's like not their priority as much as it is our priority. They have other projects they're also working on that are in the pipeline, but we definitely keep making a lot of noise about this one to get a redevelopment to happen. So we have a Facebook page, Women's Prison Reuse, where we try to post as much information as we can. Hasn't been a lot of activity because there wasn't anything to post when the state had it, but as the city gives us information, we want to make sure that we're sharing that with neighbors, so you can always find information there. But I'm happy to answer any questions I can tonight or come back if you want me to when I know more. Yeah. We have a Facebook page called Women's Prison Reuse.
I'll share that on.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know the timeline for the master developer thing? Is that something they're going to try to do in 26 or 27?
The meeting is this December. So I would guess that by the end of 2026, they would have an RFP ready to go. Maybe earlier than that, but I think it just kind of depends. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to do.
Right. On to the next speaker. We've got Susan with Westminster.
Hello, thanks for having me back. I was here a few months ago. Westminster Neighborhood Services at the corner of New York and Keystone, just up the road. As you can imagine, we're pretty busy. I have some paperwork I'll leave over here on the table. We do food pantries Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to noon, Tuesday evenings from 6 to 7, and a special senior pantry on the third Wednesday of the month. We're up about 25% in the last couple of months, which is a little less than we expected, but we are busy. We have served 5,000 families this year. We serve about 300 families a week. So we think we're doing a pretty good job. And we also do a soup kitchen, so we do that as well. And what I'm kind of mainly here for you today is we do what we call Christmas baskets. We allow people to register for Christmas assistance. We do 250 families and their kids. That translates to about 600 kids. You don't have to have kids to sign up for Christmas baskets, but that's kind of how it translates out. On Saturday, December 13th is our big day. Briefly, if you want to sponsor a kid, I'll share that information with you. If you sponsor a kid, you do buy them a toy, hats, gloves, socks, and underwear as well. And then those clothing items we do for everybody in the family. So when the family comes that day without their kids, they can pick up all those clothing items for everybody in the family. They get a whole turkey. We're getting 250 turkeys donated next week. Woo. From the Colts after the city has passed those out. We get the leftovers. Yay. So everybody gets a turkey, a pound of butter, a bunch of groceries, a bag of hygiene items, and we have a toy store. So those families can shop for their kid for one more toy. So I've got these fun little postcards that the kids colored, all different fun, crazy ways. Information's on the back, just what I gave you, and there's a little QR code. The good news is we only have 50 kids left. I mean, which is really ahead of schedule. So if you could help us get over this bump and we can say we're done, that would be fabulous. So that's Christmas baskets. Again, we are pretty busy. I've got a couple of food drive flyers. So, hey, maybe it's your work. You want to do a food drive. People have done Friendsgivings. My neighbor just gave me a bunch of stuff and we just moved it to my trunk. So if you want to do a food drive, there's kind of, what basic stuff that we really need. One other crazy thing we need is ranch dressing. That just sounds crazy, but we do salads at every food pantry and people love ranch dressing. So if you want to give us ranch dressing, they'd appreciate it. So would we. This is a flyer. I brought postcards last time. I got the big flyer tonight. So this is our food pantry hours, our soup kitchen hours, and a QR code for volunteering. We've added lots of crazy volunteer shifts. I'm the volunteer coordinator. We even have a shift now. You can ride along with one of our drivers and go pick up food. Go to Whole Foods, go to Target, help our delivery drivers. By the way, we're a staff entirely of women. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I think it's cool. So there's like 8 of us. Also for the food, if you've got a corporation, you want to do a shelf sponsorship. We do buy food from Gleaner's Food Bank for pennies on the dollar. Like we buy 550 dozen eggs every month for $1,200. So if you want to sponsor 1 month, 6 months, a year, food sponsorships. So that's what I have. The other thing I would say, if you know a neighbor that needs food, maybe give them a ride. Give them a ride to the food pantry or the soup kitchen. People can come to the food pantry twice a month if they live in the neighborhood, except they can also come to Senior Wednesday if they're over 55. So that's me in a nutshell. Yep. So where's the pantry in the neighborhood that you're saying? Okay, we serve the whole Near East Side. So we go all the way downtown to the interstate right here. We go all the way out to Emerson, to Irvington. We go a little south of Washington Street to the railroad tracks. And we go all the way to 21st and Mass or I-70 on the north side. So it's a pretty big area of about 30,000 households. And we are a pantry of choice. I just think that's really important. When people come in, it's a little shopping experience. We call ourselves a mini Aldi. They get a shopping cart. They get a guided shopper to help them, but they pick out chips from the chip aisle and cereal, any kind of breakfast item. We have a refrigerator. We have a freezer with meat in it. We have another freezer with miscellaneous items. We have candy. We have all kinds of stuff. And mainly it's what we get donated, but we do go out and constantly pick up food. And then we work with second helpings for our meals. And we also make tossed salads and fruit salads and cut up a zillion desserts, because we get a lot of desserts donated from Whole Foods and Kroger. And so it's actually kind of fun. Come work in the kitchen. It's actually a good time, or be a guided shopper. Or we have stocking shifts. You can just come for 2 hours and stock food in the food pantry. But we've had about 700 volunteers this year. We have amazing volunteers and a lot of new volunteers all the time. Or if your company wants to be a volunteer group. Today, I worked with 15 volunteers from an organization, Heritage Group, and they came in and worked in the warehouse and counted socks and got gloves and underwear from last year and got those sorted for us and stocked the pantry, cleaned the dining room, fun stuff like that. So it's good. I love my job. And it's great to feed people. And I'll leave some stuff over here.
You, Susan. Next, we have Patrick. He's a new neighbor, and he's gonna tell us some stuff that's going on with Indigo too.
Hello, everyone. My name's Patrick, new neighbor, live on Sturm Avenue. I'm an Indigo Transit Ambassador, so that's a volunteer program that Indigo puts on. So that just helps us encourage outreach and then also outreach to riders that already use Indigo. So one of the big events that we have going on right now is the Blue Line construction. So as you noticed on Washington in College right there, they're doing a lot of work. I think they're part of the initiative in doing all these rapid lines is they're also improving infrastructure. So that includes drainage, pedestrian infrastructure, better accessibility for those that have mobility needs. So all of that should be concluded near January, but it's also public works. So we'll see what actually happens. The next phase would be between, I believe it's going to be after Southeastern out towards State, which they've already kind of started on. So utility companies will come in. That's technically private work outside of what Indigo does. Their projected start date will be 2026 and then go until 2027 for that work when Indigo will actually be in there. The one other thing is in January 1st of 2026, there will be a fare increase. They haven't increased fares since 2019, but due to COVID and other just world circumstances, there's been increased operating costs and different circumstances that do require a fare increase. But one of the big things they're encouraging is we're going away from paper passes and using MyKey. So MyKey is the app that you use, and then you can either just scan it or it uses NFC on your phone as well. And using that, there's fare capping. So if you do, I believe it's it goes to $275 per ride. You have transfer windows. So if you get on a bus, got to transfer to another bus, you only pay $275. And then once you do 2 rides in a day, it's capped at $6. So that third ride after the 2-hour window ride, then you're only pay 50 cents. And then if you have any more rides, you're done for the day. And then it's capped at the week. So I believe it's after you do 5 of those, or I think it's like $25 about on the week. And then if you go on the weekend and you're riding the bus, it won't cost you anything. So at the end of the day, if you use MyKey and you're a frequent rider, the cost to the rider is only a $5 increase about on the week. And if you go on their website, I actually have pamphlets over there. It'll explain it a little better than I can. I also have Blue Line stickers, Indigo 50 anniversary stickers, and then some other information and sunglasses. So help yourselves and thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, getting into neighborhood reports. Okay, I was a little paranoid that I forgot to hit record. I think we're good. For the President's Report, I'm just going to share a couple of things with you, what's coming up in 2026. These are all the dates for our association member meetings. This meeting that we're having today, this is our last of the quarterly meetings for 2025. So there's your 2026 dates. Association board meetings, those are actually all virtual, but anybody is welcome to join the association board. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know, or you can email info@indyholycross.org and I'll just get you put on the group list so that you're getting all the information. And then foundation meetings, those are fourth Wednesdays every other month. And Renee can probably help you with some information about that if you're curious what's going on. Do we have any open spots still? Or okay.
We'll do so in May, right?
Okay, yeah. So foundations going on. And then Also, I just put a note there. Thanks for an amazing 2025. We had a lot of really great stuff happen in 2025, including the festival. We had a lot of mows. We had a lot of girls' nights out. We had a lot of things that we're going to keep doing. We had our first ever kind of outdoor movie night, so that might become a regular feature. Speaking of what's coming up in 2026, as far as like neighborhood kind of socialization, obviously we're going to have the Wine and Cheese Festival again. Renee will talk about that in a little bit. And then we'll have more mows. We'll have our cleanups will continue. Maybe some more outdoor movie nights. I don't have dates for any of these yet, but stay tuned. Those will all be on the calendar on the website. And of course, we had an amazing chili cook-off. Oh, we had so many people attend. And then we're going to hear about the holiday party here in a little bit as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Renee. She's going to give us some updates on the foundation.
Okay, thanks everybody. I won't read these numbers to you, you guys can see them. As you might recall from recent meetings, we have two accounts now. We have one that we have kind of a cash investment account that just earns a little bit of interest more than the checking account does. So we've got a little bit of money in there. And then our checking account balance is a little over $35,000 right now. 23,000 of it approximately is restricted for some projects like signal box maintenance and repainting, the gateway sign, park sculpture maintenance, and then a fund as a base for the Wine and Cheese Festival. If you want to help support the neighborhood, we have a few things you can do. We have Kroger Community Awards. If you have a Kroger card and it's not already attached to an organization, we have a QR code over here. You can scan it. We have a lot of QR codes over here. If you don't have a neighborhood sign yet and you want one, the metal ones are back. There's a QR code over here, and Amanda can Vanna White them for us. There we go. Right. And then we also have a site where you can get Holy Cross merch anytime. You don't have to go to a certain event to get it. And there's a QR code over there. There are t-shirts. I think there's hoodies right now and a few other things. And that'll be changing out, I think, quarterly. So you can check those things out. If you have an idea for a project, there is a form on the website. If you would just fill it out and submit it. And then at our next regular meeting, we will review and either approve or choose maybe not to move forward with it as it's requested. Likely if you put something in, we'll have some questions for you. So just if you've got an idea, rather than feel free to email, I will probably ask you to fill out the form. That way we keep track of everything, nothing gets lost. What are some of our current active projects? Pole sign replacements. We're currently seeking an AES grant for that. And we're also seeking to redirect the Eden grant that we got for the gateway sign. Since there's the two-way conversion and there's the interstate signs, we want to see if we can perhaps put some of that money towards the pole signs and maybe have more prominent pole signs at the gateway. So we'll see about that. And then also we're looking at the initial planning for the signal box repainting along New York and Michigan, because DPW took all the painted ones and replaced them with blank ones. We're seeking grants for that too. While we have some money right now, we thought we'll ask for money. We don't need to spend all of our own money on everything. So we're looking for grants for that. And Susan's actually also been working with the gentleman that owns the Black Dog Gallery over here on New York to get some initial designs for us. So if you're interested in that project, I think what will happen is the folks that are on the association board and the foundation board will do the reviewing on those designs. So it's another good reason to get involved. Anybody can be on the association board. I think at any time they can just pop up and join. So that's one way to get in and be a part of this. And then we're also going to have a holiday party raffle and merch available. Chad's going to talk about that more, but we're going to have some pretty cool things for a raffle and then some very limited edition merch at that event. And we also just had, instead of meeting the day before Thanksgiving, we met last week, I think. And we had a strategic planning session for what we want to really focus on in 2026, what we think that will be good for the neighborhood. Okay, Wine and Cheese. If you haven't already saved the date, July 25th, 2026, you can follow us on socials. We have our own social accounts so we don't harass everyone who doesn't care about the cleanups with the wine and cheese information. So we separated. If you're interested in helping to plan anything, just email us at wineandcheesefest@indyholycross.org and we will get you added to help plan. And then we're going to be kicking off probably in the next month to start planning the 2026 festival. And then just general timing, kind of approximations of when things will happen. Our sponsorship drive will begin in January. Vendor exhibitor applications will probably open in February or March. Ticket pre-sales should happen around May, and then volunteer sign-up should begin around June. Any questions on anything for the foundation or general wine and cheese stuff?
I would love for you to just talk a little bit more about what kind of projects we might consider, or that y'all might consider as a foundation.
Yeah, that's a good question. Think about things that would improve the neighborhood in some way. Things that might improve usability, functionality, beautification, community building, things like that. And think outside of the box. If there's something that you think, gosh, this would be really cool, put it out there. Maybe that thing can be turned into something else, or maybe that thing is just really great and no one thought of it, and it would be great to go with. There's no bad ideas, right, guys? That's how we have gotten where we are. So absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Yes, there's a form on the website. If you navigate into the foundation page, it's on there. Yeah.
I can share that on social media again. Too.
Yes. So many things. And then we have a bunch of stuff over here on a board. If you're not already getting the neighborhood texts, or if you want to sign up for any of the ways you can get blasted with information, there's signs all over the neighborhood. There's one of them right there with the QR code. If you want to go to the holiday party and you haven't signed up yet, we want to make sure you have enough food. There's a QR code over there for it as well. And I think Chad will probably have one on one of his slides, I'm guessing too. Yeah. So there's all sorts of QR codes over there. The other thing is, if you guys remember, we did the neighborhood needs assessment last year, and we got a lot of fantastic ideas. But one thing we are really going to need is people to lead those initiatives. So the red form over there is, if you maybe want to volunteer in some way, you don't know what you want to do yet, that just goes to a Google form that our foundation gets, that you can say, hey, I might want to be interested. I might want to help volunteer some different things. I don't know what it is yet. And then we can kind of figure out what you're interested in, what works for you, and kind of go from there. I think that's it for me. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, so what's coming up? Girls Night Out, those are going to continue. We've got Gwen, if you want to raise your hand, if you aren't already on the list and you want to join. Gwen's kind of the top manager of all of those goings on. And then a holiday party. So we're going to have Chad come up and he's going to tell us about the holiday party. Yes. There.
So we're super excited to actually find a space that's not across Washington Street. So we're a little bit safer walking through there, especially with the intersection that works half the time. So Damien Center has offered to open their beautiful new building up to us. Which is incredible. It is the entire building as well too. We will have an open bar upstairs, separate, a nice area to get a break from. We'll have the entire atrium, and food is being catered by Iozos. Desserts are being provided by 3 dolls. So if you have not RSVP'd, make sure you RSVP. We are already at 198 people RSVP'd. Yeah, don't RSVP twice, please. So I've already sent an email to Katie today. We need a few more items of food because we had planned for 200 and we're already there. Please make sure, especially if you have children, that's the biggest one. Any children under the age of 8, we're trying to provide gifts for. So if you have kids or know of families in the neighborhood that have kids under the age of 8, that is really big, because we're going to have a little extra, but if 15 extra kids show up and we don't have that, the last thing we want is someone not getting something. December 9th, 6 to 8, there's a QR code. We'll probably send it out again on social media, and I believe you'll actually get a text again this weekend as well too. I handle all the text messages as well too. We do need a few people to help volunteer. Volunteer positions are super short. They're like 15 minutes long. We only need a few people to keep them 15 minutes long. Things from selling some raffle tickets, standing at the merch table, which is just going to be some like coffee cups. And we've got some tumblers with the actual Holy Cross logo on them as well too. We need a few people to, it's a big space. It's a really big space. For setup, only one, actually. If anyone has a Indiana liquor license, bartender license, we need a few extra bartenders. It's not that difficult. We're pouring red wine, white wine, and we've got cans. That's it. So if you have a liquor, you legally have to have a liquor license. So if you want to help out and just pop a few cans and pass them over the counter, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, clean up. We need a few people to help clean up after the party. We have till 11 to be out of the building. I don't plan on staying there till 11, so I would really love some help cleaning. Helping to clean. The great thing is Damien is also providing us with building staff. So throughout the party, they will be maintaining the trash cans and things like that in the facilities for us.
The
Just
bartender's license is a volunteer one, so it's super easy. It takes like 45 minutes to get.
yeah, you do not actually have to go to like a class. It's $30. I literally just did it. Because I remember like when you served like at a restaurant, I had to go and sit down at a class that took like 2 hours and you had to take a test. And I'm like, I am not doing that. There is. I'll have her post it on social media. Yeah. Or if anyone wants to reach out to Amanda for it, I can have her send it to you. My neighbor. So for those that don't know me, Chad, I live over here in the greenhouse on the corner of Ohio and Highland. The one with all the landscaping and tropical plants. So our neighbor is the one using his catering license. So I was like, how do you do this? And he goes, oh no, it's $30. Go online. It takes 20 minutes. So yeah, helps sling drinks. Again, it's not, we're not making cocktails. We're just serving some seltzers and some wine. We do have some incredible raffle items this year. Tickets to the cabaret, the symphony orchestra. We have about 19 gift cards to local businesses in the area. However, the ones that everyone really cares about, we have 2 2025 season tickets to the Pacers, which is second row. And we'll have, that is, it is anonymous. Yeah. And then our winter raffle, our other prize is 2 2026 season tickets in section 200 of the Colts. With realization, there's one game after a holiday party. So the donation had to be for 2026. And that was from the Glassburns, who donated one of their season tickets for us to be able to raffle off. We have a lot of prizes. We have bottles of alcohol from Eighth Day and Hotel Tango. Yeah, so yeah, please make sure to RSVP and come. It's not successful and it's fun if no one shows up. So everyone showing up is what's going to make it an awesome time.
That means during the 2025 season, not the whole season, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. That's almost.
It is,
Yeah.
it is 2 seats. So it's you and a +1 to a game during that season. Yeah. I mean, I can discuss with them. I'm sure they'd be willing to give us 2026 seasons because I don't know about anyone that's a fan. We probably want to wait to go watch 2026 anyways. If anyone's been watching this year. So, but I can speak with them. We can also discuss that at the holiday party. It's as easy as getting on my phone and sending the tickets through a transfer. The same thing with 2026. $2 a ticket. Yeah, $2 a ticket. That's it. And again, yeah, you do have to be present to win. And we have so many different and random items as well too. So everything's going to be like boxed out, so you can actually pick what you would like to win. I mean, we've got men's haircuts from the new barbershop that opened up over here. The gift cards will all be thrown into a Santa hat and will be luck of the draw, because most of them are $20 to $25, but there is one for like $50 and another one for I think $50 as well too. So just all random luck of the draw. And then obviously the big prizes like tickets to things will be in their own boxes. That's it. Yeah. So you can actually enter from any of the main doors, which would be if you're coming down Oriental and you just pass the church and the little apartment complex that's right there. There's an alley you can turn in. There's a parking lot right there. There's also a parking garage. So if you are coming, make sure if you want to park in the garage, make sure you're there before 7 because the gates go down. You'll still be able to get out. You just won't be able to get in. So when you pull up to get out, the gate, it'll trigger, you'd be able to get out, but you just won't be able to get in. There's also 3 additional parking lots all right there in that alley. So there'll be plenty of space. And if you are walking and you don't want to walk through the parking garage, you can walk around to the front of the building on Washington and go through the main door. There's also an elevator. So for anyone that might have any needs or issues going upstairs, we have an elevator that will go all 3 floors as well. Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, just a couple of last things to mention. We do have our calendar. It is looking kind of sparse right now just because we don't have all our 2026 dates figured out yet. So those will be added as we figure them out, but that is the QR code and URL for the calendar. Give it a second because and then we have all our social media accounts. We have the Urban Times. Amanda usually submits those articles. If you have any ideas for articles, please let Amanda know. She's she loves
You have my email address, but you all have the info.
the info. Yeah.
Send the idea. Always.
Yeah. She loves getting ideas. One note on the website, we are switching platforms. I think that's going to happen after Thanksgiving. So if you happen to get on there the week or 2 after Thanksgiving and for some reason you're not seeing the website, don't panic. We're just kind of switching it. But we are going to try to make that. We don't think there's going to be an issue, but I'm just giving everybody a heads up if they jump on there, don't panic. We're just switching platforms. But all the social medias and the email addresses and things will still work if you need to get a hold of anyone. And then support the neighborhood. As always, I mentioned that we have our voluntary annual dues. It's $20 per household per year. We do use that money for the association. We have both the association and the foundation. So Renee was telling you about the foundation. The association is just a different tax code. And we use that funding for like paying for the Zoom account that we're using to record the meeting today, for cleanup supplies for cleanup days. And then we'll be using it for potentially the website hosting account, things like that. So that's what we use that funding for. And I didn't get the image in there, but we are going to be doing some stickers in 2026. So when you come to a meeting and you tell me that you scan the code and you did your donation for the year, we're going to give you a little neighborhood supporter sticker. And so that'll be a little giveaway that we'll just have so that you can kind of collect those. And then you'll remember if you donated or not, because you'll either have a sticker or you won't. Upcoming meetings, I gave these dates before, but I'm just going to put them up there again just to remind everybody. The next association board meeting, this quarterly meeting here, is going to be on January 13th. Oh, wait, that's the association board meeting. So that's, anybody can join that. That's virtual. If you are interested in joining that, send an email to the info@indyholycross.org account. We'll get you hooked up. And then that next meeting is on January 13th, and that'll be on Zoom. The next association member meeting, which is this quarterly meeting, will be on February 19th. Should be in the same location. I'm going to send all the dates to Ball State. So we'll have all those in for 2026. And then the foundation will be meeting in January as well. So, and then, yes.
For the minute, there's a bunch of us that are meeting on the first Friday of the month to have lunch with each other. And this time it's going to be at the Great Divide.
Cool.
First of the month on Friday, noon. There's about 6 or 8 of us that get together, right?
Okay. Awesome. All right. And then this is just the final kind of recap: merch, calendar, dues. That's, I believe, all we really have for the presentation. Thank you everybody for coming out. I think we're ending a little bit early tonight, so that's kind of nice. It is the darker time of year, so
If anybody needs Narcan,
Oh, yeah.
I have a crap ton of Narcan. And I will get more if people, I've got 4 or 5 more bags of this. So if anybody needs some, come ask me after the meeting.
Wait, I have a question. Does it go bad? Because I have a couple-year-old Narcans.
Well, then you get some more.
Gosh.
It does go bad. However, we've learned that even 3 years after it's gone bad, it still has something like an 80% effectiveness.
Efficacy.
Okay.
What's that?
Still save a life.
Still save a life. How? Grab it.
Work on that fab, y'all.
We are living in a community where we have the 4620.
Let's just come up here.
The 46201, or wait, what is our zip code right now? I can't even think. Yes, 46202 and 46201. I am not thinking today. We have the highest incident rate of overdoses in the state. 1/4 of all overdoses happen in these 2 zip codes here in Indianapolis, but for all the state combined. So if you need Narcan, I've been doing trainings throughout the east side on Narcan. We just had a training on Stop the Bleed last week, actually Monday. So if anybody's needing training, come get me after the meeting.
Thank you, Cliff.
Yes.
Holy West is now eligible for compost pickup through Indigo Green. It's a paid service. This woman who does it at the Broad Ripple Farmers Market. And she now includes Holy Cross. I do it. I loved it. She's fantastic. And I can give Amanda her contact. And post on social.
I'm just going to repeat it for the recording. Indigo Green, you said, is you can sign up for compost pickup. Oh,
She she picks up bi-weekly on it's the Thursday that's not Sunday.
okay. Every other Thursday.
Today.
So our roasting started out back at the mayor's.
Do you want to come up here or?
No, don't have a whole lot.
Okay.
Just one little tiny one. Next week is the sliding trash day. So if your normal trash day is Thursday or Friday, it will be Friday and Saturday.
Recycling too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You get the same service, just on a different day.
Yeah, they do that on weeks that have holidays so that the trash people can have a holiday. And then also,
Most of the holidays.
yeah, most of the holidays. And then also they're doing leaf pickup right now. I think I put that in the newsletter. So through December 1st, I think. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Save and response, I'm used to, not in the neighborhood, for 3 years, but it's my first time knowing this. Is there a continuing recycling drop off?
Do you know where they are?
Recycle Force is working on it. They have not. They are still working with the city because the city has a few unreasonable requirements right now. But that is going to be the closest that is on rule.
Yeah, they have to keep closing. They have to keep closing the community recycling pickups down because they're just have become dumping sites. So going to some place like Recycle Force on Sherman, right?
Sherman.
Thank you. And they're wonderful. Those folks that work there are incredible. And then I pay the $18 a quarter or whatever it is for whatever it is for recycling. But in a couple next year, 2027, we're gonna have it's gonna be included in our city taxes. Thank you. But anyway, there are places, and unfortunately, bad people have made it impossible to have nice things.
And nobody says that you can't, like go in on a recycling bin with, one of your nearby neighbors. You could, depending on how much you're generating, like.
Stuff to my house, I'll take it. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'll be inundated.
But act right. Act right.
Anything else?
Bring it to my house.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh,
I don't know if you've all gotten the notices yet, but the city is contracting, it won't be from recycling force after January. Have you gotten your notices on what to do?
Well, our bins, we don't have any change with our trash bins.
Yeah.
we use Republic.
No, you don't for the trash bins, but the recycling will also go to the new company. They should be sending that information. You'll just get an invoice to pay them and it will automatically transfer over. Just so if you get a bill from a company you don't know, like that's just what it is.
Okay, I'll make sure everyone knows about it. Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming.
I would say